What's up, G Squad? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with video number 2 on my channel, and today's video is the mid-year freakout tag. This tag is one of my favorite tags here on BookTube, and since I started my channel in June, I thought this was the perfect video to do next. But I first wanted to thank everyone for all the support that I've received on my BookTube newbie tag. It means a lot. Starting a new channel, filming a video, talking to a camera is all very new and very foreign, and so it means a lot that I've received such positive feedback from my BookTube newbie tag. So far in 2020, I've read 22 books, which is a lot for me, given that I'm just now getting back into my reading flow after undergrad and everything like that. So 22 books so far, I'm very happy about. My Goodreads goal is 30 books, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to complete, but that's my goal for now. Disclaimer, you may be a little surprised by what I have read this year, given that in my newbie tag, I was all like, yeah, fantasy, yeah, sci-fi, that's it. But it's not gonna really reflect that in the answers to my questions. But that's because I've been trying to expand my genres, like what I read this year. And so I've been reading a lot of like romance and contemporary, surprisingly. So we'll see how this goes. The first question is, what is the best book that I've read so far this year? I have picked 3 books out of the 22 that I've read to be my favorite, and those 3 are Intercepted by Alexa Martin, Slay by Brittany Morris, and With a Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Intercepted by Alexa Martin follows Marley Harper, whose boyfriend is in the NFL, but then we find out that he's, cheating on the side, not surprisingly. And so she breaks up with him and vows to never date an athlete again. But then she finds Gavin Pope, who is a quarterback, and she ends up falling in love with Gavin Pope. And it's just a whole bunch of drama and stuff. And I loved it because I was high-key jealous of her life. Like, dating an NFL player, I was like, yes, girl, get it. But then when homie cheated on her, I was like, yeah, let's not do the athlete game again. But then Gavin Pope was so, gentlemanly and lovely. And so then I was rooting for them. And I don't know, I just loved the story. I loved the characters. And it was just an overall great story and something I had never really seen in the romance genre before. Slay by Brittany Morris follows 17-year-old Kiera Johnson, who is one of a few Black girls at her high school. And she, on the side, is the creator of this huge multiplayer video game that she created on her own. Kiera hasn't told anybody in her life that she is the creator of this video game named Slay, not even her boyfriend or her family. But when a teen is murdered over a dispute that happened within the game, Kiera is exposed and blamed for this tragic accident. So now Kiera is faced with her secret identity and trying to maintain her Blackness and navigate a world full of hate. I really enjoyed this story because it talks about something that I haven't read a story about. A video game created by a Black girl, a 17-year-old girl. Like, that's amazing. And I was just yelling and screaming Black girl magic the whole time. And it was just full of pop culture, but it wasn't overdone, because sometimes pop culture references in books aren't very good. But I thought the way that Brittany Morris did it in Slay was great and on point. I thought it was good that the concept of racism in video games was addressed in a book, because it's not something you think about on an everyday basis. Like, Black people obviously face racism every day in their life, as we're seeing now in the world. But you don't really think about how it happens in video games, and it just speaks to how present racism is in our society and everywhere in our society. Lastly, With a Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo follows Amani Santiago, who got pregnant her freshman year in high school. And now she's a senior in high school. And for the past 4 years, she has been taking care of her daughter, taking care of her abuela, who she lives with, and navigating the single mom life. The only thing that makes her happy is being in the kitchen, where she is an awesome chef, but she doesn't know if she will be able to achieve those dreams given that she has a daughter, she has a family, she has responsibilities to attend to. So we join this journey with Imani as she figures out what she wants in her life. I loved Imani's character. She was so strong, she was so mature for her age and for her situation, and she was such a good mom for her daughter. I loved the characters in this book. I enjoyed walking alongside Imani, finishing up her senior year in high school, and kind of rooting for her that she will find happiness. I just wanted her to be happy at the end of the day, because I know she's had a hard life growing up, and I don't know, everybody deserves some happiness. And so I really enjoy books that follow characters who are struggling with something and then end up happy at the end. This was my first Elizabeth Acevedo novel, and I know she has 3 total novels now, and the other 2 are definitely on my list. I need to read them. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel I've read so far this year? And I'm gonna go with The Wicked King by Holly Black, which is the 2nd book in the Cruel Prince series. The Cruel Prince follows a human named Jude whose parents were murdered when she was young, and so her and her sisters were taken to the High Court of Fairy, where they lived with the guy who murdered their parents, and that's who raises them. Jude desperately wants to be a part of the court in the fairy world, but since she's human, it's harder for her to be included. And it doesn't help that the youngest prince, Prince Carden, is very wicked and very cruel, hence the title of the book, The Cruel Prince. So we follow Jude on her journey to become a part of the court, but then there's also a bunch of betrayal and secrets that she discovers on the way that leads to some juiciness in the book. And so I rated The Cruel Prince 5 stars, and The Wicked King, which is the sequel, I gave that 4 stars, only because the first 150 pages or so were very slow and I was getting a little bored, but then we picked it up and I was like, whoa. By the end of the book, I was like, whoa. And so there is one more book, The Queen of Nothing, that I need to read because I have it, so I need to read it soon. Question 3 is a new release that I haven't read, but I want to. For that, I'm choosing The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy that recently came out last month, I think. So I'm definitely want to get to that soon. I have heard mixed things about it. Like, a lot of people like it, but a lot of people also don't like it. So I'm kind of like, am I gonna like it? But also, like, I have to read it. Question 4 is my most anticipated release that's coming out in the second half of the year. And for that, I've chosen 2 books. My first one is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the 2nd book in the Brown sisters novels, the first one being Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I absolutely adored that love story, and here I go again talking about a romance book that I liked. Like, I don't know who I am, but I really enjoyed Get a Life, Chloe Brown, because of all the representation that was in that book. Like, sis was black, sis was not a size 0, and she had a chronic illness, so disability representation, which is not seen a lot at all. It follows Chloe Brown's sister, Danny Brown. So yeah, we'll see what kind of love she gets. The second book that I'm excited for is Smash It by Francina Simone. I'm just really excited for it. I haven't really read the synopsis for it, but I just know I'm excited for it. So, question 5 is my biggest disappointment so far. I Almost Forgot About You by Terry McMillan. Follows Georgia Young, who is a very successful optometrist, and she has great friends, great family, but then, I don't know, she has some type of life crisis and decides to quit everything, quit her career, move out of the house that she's been living in forever to find herself. But in this journey to find herself, she decides to reconnect with the past men in her life. And it sounds nice and all, but then the actual way that the reconnections played out in the book were a little weird to me. I just don't think that if you were in a relationship and it ended badly or on a good note, I just don't think you need to revisit that. Like, it was over, it's done, like, let's move on, you know? And it was just weird. Like, it was a lot of awkward encounters, which makes sense. Like, you haven't spoke to this man in years. What do you expect? I also didn't like the man that she ended up with in the end. I was like, out of all the dudes, that's who she ends up with. I gave it 2 stars. I just couldn't. I mean, it wasn't a bad story. Like, I'm sure other people would like it. And maybe this is why this is an example of a romance novel that I just didn't vibe with, because it was just weird to me and I didn't think her journey was necessary. Like, for me, I'm trying to be a doctor. Once I become a successful doctor, I don't care what's going on in my life, I'm not going to quit. Like, I understand, I'm not knocking her down. Like, she had things going on, she needed to reevaluate where she was at in her life, but I don't know, like, I just couldn't do it. And so maybe we were just 2 different people and I just didn't vibe with Georgia. That's okay. So maybe you'll like the book if you decide to read it, but it wasn't for me. Question 6 is my biggest surprise, and I'm going to go with Intercepted by Alexa Martin because I don't read romance and I absolutely loved that book. And so it was definitely a surprise, and I recommend it to anybody who's looking for romance recommendations. Question 7, who is my favorite author? Definitely Elizabeth Acevedo. I loved With the Fire on High, and I am looking forward to reading Clap When You Land and Poet X at some point. Question 8, who is your newest fictional crush? And I'm going to go with Hunt from Crescent City. I'm not going to talk about it. But question 9, who is my newest favorite character? And I'm going with Marley Harper from, again, Intercepted by Alexa Martin. Maybe I should just name the title of this video Alexa Martin Stan, because that's all I'm talking about for the most part. But I'm serious, y'all. You need to read this book. It's so good. Question 10, a book that made me cry. I don't cry while reading. Things make me sad, but I don't physically cry. That's my sister's kind of thing. She loves Ellen Hopkins and cries. So, question 11, a book that made me happy, and I'm going with Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Question 12 is my favorite book to movie adaptation that I've seen this year, and given that we're in quarantine, movie theaters haven't been open recently, I haven't seen Little Woman, or maybe that would have been my answer. But I will say Catching Fire. I watched that while in quarantine with my sister and my dad, and that is a very good book to film adaptation. Question 13 is my favorite video I've done so far. Given that this is my second video on BookTube, I'm going with my BookTube newbie tag, which again, I'm so thankful for all the support that I've received off of that video. It makes me very happy inside. Question 14 is the most beautiful book I've bought this year, and I'm going with Slay by Brittany Morris because the girl on the cover is so beautiful and I love to see it. She has her twist out, her glasses. I'm like, that looks like me. Last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And boy, do I have so many books that I want to get to by the end of the year, including The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Like, I really need to get to that one. It's huge and it's intimidating, but I need to do it because I've heard amazing things about that book and I just need to read it. I'm thinking about doing a video titled All the Unread Books on My Shelves, so let me know if you're interested in that because I have quite a few books on my shelves that I have not read yet, and I continue to buy books when I haven't read the books I own. So yes, that wraps up all the questions. Thank you for listening. Comment down below if you agree with my answers or if you disagree with my answers. I'd love to hear your opinion and we can discuss. If you want to stay updated on what I'm reading and what I have read, please follow me on Goodreads. I will link my profile in the description box, and you should also follow me on Twitter. So yes, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.